doctor is the first one here in Arizona to use a brand new technology that brings virtual reality into the operating room, and that is Dr. Michael Amini. You consult with Stryker Wright on arm-related technologies and surgeries. Want to get that out there right now. So, Dr. Amini, tell us about exactly how this works, because I'm picturing in my mind, you know, somebody with goggles on, you know, playing a video game, but instead of doing that, you're cutting into people.
Yeah, so this is essentially very similar. So virtual reality, which you may hear about from video games, is wearing a headset. It's completely virtual. There's no real world. This is called mixed reality. So this is the real world. This is a surgical field, but wearing these headsets, it projects a hologram onto the surgery. So we can see our plan that we have that we did before the surgery. We can have that immediately next to the actual shoulder replacement that we're doing. So this is real world and virtual at the same time.
So what I'm seeing right here is the actual top of a shoulder bone or top of an arm bone. And what are you doing? Can you see what we're seeing right now?
I can, yeah. So that's basically bringing in the top of the arm bone, the top of the humerus. We're bringing it right next to the actual person's bone. It's that person's bone. You know, obviously during surgery, we have soft tissues that are in the way. And now I can see, instead of just the surface at the top, I can see the entirety of the bone, which gives me a huge amount of information that we really don't have because there are soft tissues attached to the bone.
Wow. So what are the advantages of this? You just mentioned it a little bit. Why is this surgery and this technology better than how you were doing it before?
Yeah, so previously we've been using CAT scans for shoulder replacements to help us do it more accurately for many years. We moved on to doing three-dimensional planning over the last 5 or 10 years. It's essentially like a flight simulator. Think about it as trial without error. So we actually simulate the surgery that I'm going to do tomorrow morning on the computer. This brings that plan into the actual surgery. And so what I'm doing with my hands, using gestures and voice commands, I can actually move around the ball and the socket virtually. I can prepare the bone virtually to make sure I'm preparing it in real life like I do in the plan. And I can put in the parts virtually and make sure I'm recreating that in the actual surgery too.
I'm just fascinated watching you do this. So when you're doing this, and the bone we see right here, is this the actual model of the patient's actual bone, or is this like a generic bone that you're working with?
That's actually that person's bone. So every plan is individualized. We actually put it through a range of motion to make sure we're maximizing the function for that person. So that actually is real time. That's that person's shoulder.
So how many times have you done this, and what are the outcomes like? Do you find you have better outcomes?
Yeah, so we've done this now for a few weeks using the actual headset itself. We've been doing the same 3D planning for many years, probably hundreds and hundreds of cases. But basically bringing this into the surgery with the hologram is the next step forward. So the software has been around. It's the use of the software that has changed. That allows me to have it right at my fingertips instead of printed out on a piece of paper on the side of the room that I need to walk over to look at my static screenshots. Now I can actually rotate it around. We're probably going to be using this for around 80 to 90% of our shoulder replacements. It's not for every single case, but it is for the majority of the cases that we do.
And we're out of time here, so I'm sorry, I'm asking you one last question, but
Sure.
Is it science fiction for me to think that someday we could have someone like you operating on a shoulder all the way across the world using this technology?
We're actually already collaborating. There was a surgeon in Brazil who did a case and had 2 of his friends from Switzerland and France virtually sit in and point to things using the headset on his case in Brazil. So it's not so science fiction. It sounds a little crazy, but that's something that's real world. We can actually collaborate. We can teach. We can educate each other from across the world.
Dr. Amini, thank you so much for what you and your entire team does every day, keeping us healthy and well, and for, you know, exploring this brand new technology that's just amazing to me. It's great talking with you this morning.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You got it. All right, a trooper pulls over. How about